going on, everyone? Optimistic Zeke here, and I know it's been a while since I uploaded anything to this YouTube channel. I've kind of been excited to take a little bit of a hiatus from creating any content on this channel and also live streaming on Twitch. Kind of had some things going on in my personal life. I'm not going to disclose that. But I am going to get back into making videos again for this channel. And also, I'm going to go back to live streaming on Twitch as well. There is going to be like a catch though. I'll explain that in a post that I will be making on the community page, especially as far as like the live streaming schedule goes. But in the meantime, I figured I'd show you like my collection of games that I got for the ColecoVision. I decided to do this one because the ColecoVision is actually the first console that my family has ever had. My parents originally got it for my brother in like the early 80s when I was very young. I used to watch him and my dad play the thing from time to time. Wasn't until a year, like 3 or 4 years later that I started kind of playing it. And it was a neat little console up until I got my NES in 89, but that's a story for another time. But anyway, my brother ended up getting like our family's original console because it was mainly for him. It wasn't until like 2011 that I actually was able to get my hands on my own ColecoVision, and I started collecting games for that out in the wild. So I figured I'd show all of those to you. Figured I'd make a fun video. Anyway, let's get started. I'm gonna remove that. Yeah, I was able to, by some luck, get my hands on like one of their game catalogs for the ColecoVision. I have like some for the Atari, so we'll probably take a look at these more in depth another time. Anyway, I'm going to get started with the main four that we had since when I was a kid. So I'll start with the packing game, Donkey Kong. First time I ever discovered Donkey Kong was actually on the ColecoVision. This is like one of the many games that I watched my dad play a lot. Yeah, man, it's a neat game. I played it like from time to time, but it probably wasn't one of my top played games for the console when I was a kid. I'll get into the two out of the four games here in a second, but the other one, is Carnival. Basically based off of like the shooting range games, like shooting games that you'd see at carnivals or state fairs, where you're like shooting a bunch of like ducks and stuff. I want to say it's early arcade games. And then the two that I probably played the most back then was Venture. I don't know how to describe this one. You're basically in a maze, avoiding like goblins, get into these and trying to get into rooms, collect the treasures to clear all the rooms on each board without like getting attacked by the room's enemies or even the little goblins. I think it's their goblins that hang outside in the maze. So, but it's still a pretty neat game. And then this next one is actually a Pac-Man clone, but this is probably one of my top favorite games from when I was a kid on the system, and that is Mousetrap. No, this isn't based off the board game Mousetrap. You basically play as a mouse, avoiding cats, collecting dog biscuits. Every time you press the fire button, you turn into a dog to eat the cats. I know that kind of sounds savage, but it's kind of like the whole thing with Pac-Man, the power pellet. Every time you get a power pellet and you eat a ghost. But Yeah, I probably played this one, and Venture like the most back then. So, and then a lot of these other games that I'm about to show you, I don't know a whole lot about. So, just trying to kind of bear with me here. So some of those, and believe it or not, some of these I haven't even played yet. I haven't even touched. But anyway, next one here is Illusions. Um, like I said, this is one I don't know anything about. I've never really played it, so yeah. So feel free to leave me any kind of like crazy messages in the comments section if you want. If you know anything about it, about that game, yeah. Probably shouldn't have taken it away, but and then one that I'm a little bit more familiar with because I played it on the Commodore 64 a lot, and I have it for the Atari as well. That is Gorf, Space Invaders clone, but this was a fun one. Like I said, I played it mostly on the Commodore 64 back in the day. Um, Another one is one that I don't know much about, but I think I also have this on the Atari as well, and that is Omega Race. So, I don't know much about that. We have here. For the roller. Yeah, I may have to get the roller controller. Yeah, because this. Oh, just recommend. Oh, so yeah, I'm gonna look for a roller controller for that thing for the ColecoVision so I can try to play it. And then next up is Ken Uston's Blackjack and Poker. Gamble. I assume it's a gambling game. But I'm not really much into these. But I got this when I got my ColecoVision console, and I got a bunch of games. I got like 8 or 9 games in the lot when I. That was one of them. But then the next one is Fortune Builder, which I think I got at a con, but don't quote me on that. And then the next one is sorry. Next one is Space Fury. Like I said, that and Fortune Builder I never played. And Blackjack Poker. I don't know if I'm gonna try that one out or not. But Space Fury, made by Sega, so I might have to give this one a shot. So, and then next up is I played this at a friend of my brother's when I was younger. It's kind of like a clone of Pitfall, and that is Cabbage Patch Kids Adventures in the Park. And what the irony is, Cabbage Patch Kids was like the hottest toy of the early 80s, and yet it was made by the same company that made the ColecoVision. So, yeah, it only makes sense to put a ColecoVision game in. What am I saying? It makes sense to make a Cabbage Patch game on the ColecoVision, so that's cool. And then next up is Looping, which I think I might have seen like gameplay footage on an episode of Angry Video Game Nerd. So that's about it. I never played it. I don't know much about it. And then next up is Pepper 2. That might also be a maze game of some sorts. I don't know. And then here's one I'm pretty familiar with, Time Pilot. Because it was an arcade game made by Konami. I actually played it in one of the Konami collections that came out on the original PlayStation. I think it's in the MSX collection, which was a Japanese import for the Sega Saturn. I'll have to look that up. But Konami did make some pretty good arcade games before they went on to start making games on consoles, mainly the NES. That's how a lot of us know them. Anyway, next up is Turbo. This one might use the steering wheel controller, which I have. So might have to try that one out with the controller. And then another one is War Games. This one is kind of based off of the movie starring Matthew Broderick. They came out in the early '80s. It's one of mine and my dad's favorite movies. And then next up is Buck Rogers and Planet of Zoom. Uh, that one was also another one I played on the Commodore 64. And then we have Donkey Kong Jr. I don't have a whole lot of experience playing this one as I do the original Donkey Kong. So I just feel pretty decent. And then next up is Burger Time. Of course, we all know this one from the arcade as well as the sorry, I'm not talking right. Anyway, a lot of us remember playing this on the NES, and which is a decent port. And this one's all right too, for what it is. And then the next one is Zaxxon, another one based off of the arcade game. This one came out on the Atari 2600 as well, and that one is not as good, but as this one. Of course, first time I played Zaxxon, again, Commodore 64. Okay. Next up is Rocky Super Action Boxing, based off of like the Rocky movies, of course. This one is definitely no Mike Tyson's Punch Out, but hey, what's okay? That's probably why I had a hard time playing it when I played it the last time, because you need the what's called the Super Action Controller. It has like four multicolored buttons as on it, unlike the regular controller, which only has like two side buttons. I'm not really a big fan of the regular controllers. That's just me. Anyway, next up is Space Panic. Ladybug. Mr. Do, which is I believe is like a Dig Dug clone, but it's not a bad one. Bump and Jump, which I have the NES version. That was like the first time I ever played Bump and Jump was on that console, and I've actually done live streams of that version of the game. But if I can come across like a ColecoVision that's modded with HDMI, I might try to live stream some ColecoVision games. This one it'll probably be among the first. Yeah, but it's pretty good. But Bump and Jump is a good one on NES if you haven't played it yet. Okay, and then next up we have Smurf Rescue in Gargamel's Castle. Played that one as well at a friend of my brother's house years ago, like when I was a kid, and it's all right. I mean, the graphics for the time look pretty good. Okay, so this next handful is going to be some like unlicensed cartridges. That first up is Minor 2049er. Is that what's called? Butterfingers. Yeah, sorry you had to see that. Yeah, Minor 2049er. I might have played this one once before. I don't really have a whole lot of recollection. I think there's like a couple versions of it on the Atari 50th anniversary collection for modern consoles. But anyway, next up is Jumpman Jr. Gateway to Apshai, which kind of sounds like a early RPG action adventure game that you would probably play on like the early computers at the time. Speaking of which, another one that I was introduced on the Commodore 64, and that is Pit Stop. It's no pole position, but it's still a good little racing game. Man, I wish I would have put pole position on the Commodore on the ColecoVision, but that's just me. Okay, next up is Frantic Freddy. I have another one I haven't played yet. I don't think I played yet. Destructor. Threshold. One I never thought I'd see on the ColecoVision in a million years. Star Wars the arcade game. This has got to look a lot better than the port they put out on the Atari. But hey, I'm pretty much a sucker for like Star Wars games, especially on like old consoles like the ColecoVision. Anyway, the next two are like Activision titles. River Raid. Great game on the Atari 2600, and this looks pretty good as well on the ColecoVision. And then the next one is Pitfall, another classic on the Atari 2600. This one does look good. Personally, my favorite version of Pitfall would have to be on the Commodore 64. Of course, I'm probably going to be saying that a lot for a lot of these games, but the versions on these consoles, they're pretty good. They're still pretty good in their own right. Okay. Next up, we have Cosmic Avenger. I only played this once. Wasn't really a big fan of it. Congo Bongo. Basically, it's like Sega's answer to Donkey Kong. Q*bert. Everybody knows Q*bert. And then this one's an interesting title. Dr. Seuss to fix up the mix-up puzzler. Never thought in a million years I'd see a Dr. Seuss game on anything, let alone the ColecoVision. Okay, and then we have also got good old Centipede on. Yeah, Atari. So yeah, and it's pretty cool seeing that Atari did make games for like their competition, and this is actually a good looking version of Centipede. That looks a lot better than the one on the Atari 2600, but they're both good. Gameplay wise, they're both good. Graphics aren't everything. Okay, the next one is Popeye, based off the arcade game. And also Frogger, another one that everybody knows. And these last two games are like what's called homebrews or homebrew games. I got these at Cleveland Gaming Classic a few years ago. First time attending. These were done by a website or a company called 8-Bit Millie Games. I wanted to show these off. These weren't official releases, but I wanted to show these off anyway because I think it's cool that there are independent developers still making games for a lot of older consoles. I actually bought two games from John Riggs because he makes his own games too. He also has a YouTube channel. Feel free to check him out. But I played his two games that I bought off the NES, and they were pretty good. So it's pretty cool. It's always cool to see like somebody's still making new games or making their own games on older systems. And So yeah, I'm kind of a sucker for that. But anyway, the last two games are Arcadian, which looks like a well, this doesn't have the screenshot on the back. I did see gameplay of this at Cleveland Gaming Classic, and it looks like it's a kind of reminds me of like Gradius, like the Gradius game. So can't wait to play that one for myself. And then last but not least is Crazy Chicky Jr. Yeah, zoom out a little bit. So yeah, just in case you didn't see, yeah, the Arcadian and Crazy Chicky Jr. This one, I'm pretty sure it's a maze game. Let me see. Yeah, it's a maze game, and the maze for this game looks very similar to Pac-Man, so that's pretty cool. Um, but yeah, that's my ColecoVision game collection. Um, it didn't last long on the market. Was nowhere near as popular as the Atari 2600 or the Intellivision, but this was still a pretty good console. I enjoyed playing it for the amount of time that I spent playing it when I was a kid, and I always enjoy going back and playing those games I used to play, and as well as trying new ones. And these I may have to crack open. I'm gonna have to crack these open. I'm getting lazy. I want to try these. I want to play these. I'm gonna have to. Like the two games I bought from John Riggs, Choo Choo Mimic. I believe they were Choo Choo Mimic. Yeah, Choo Choo Mimic and Yaya Beavis 2. I don't know if there was ever a 1, but who knows. So yeah, I support indie developers like that. Always cool to see them make new stuff, new games for old hardware. Anyway, that's going to do it here for this video. There will be more coming down the road. And I do plan on going back to live streaming again real soon, but kind of more on that will be on my latest community post, which should be going up soon at the time of this recording. If you haven't read, um, but yeah. Anyway, it's all I gotta say is it's kind of good to be back behind the camera again, making videos. Can't wait to get back into live streaming again. So I missed all of you. I missed everyone. Missed doing this. Can't wait to make more content for all of you. And but anyway, that's going to do it here. As always, I would like to thank everybody for watching, and until next time, we will see you later.